Want to sponsor?
The chair is calling the J back to order on August 8th, 2025 at 8:06 GM, 8:06 a.m. GMT +8. First order of the day is roll call of member organizations. Ishan.
Ishan Chaya, I was India, building number 11. Welcome to GA4. I will be doing the roll call. I request all the MOs to say get well soon to our state delegates in their own language. Alright. IBSA China.
有啲學翻。
IBSA Chile. IBSA Czech Republic. IBSA Denmark. IBSA Germany.
Gute Besserung.
IBSA Greece. Louder guys, louder. IBSA Hungary.
Jobbulást mindenkinek!
IBSA India. IBSA Italy. IBSA Japan. IBSA Republic of Korea. Love it. More enthusiasm, guys. Love it. IBSA Latvia. IBSA Malaysia. IBSA Morocco.
Leise fizemér!
IBSA Nigeria. IBSA Peru. IBSA Philippines. IBSA Poland. IBSA Serbia. IBSA Turkey. And IBSA Taiwan. And IBSA UK. So we have 43.75%, so we have four.
Next order of the day is nominations for Executive Committee 2025-2026. So here you can see the nominations that we have so far. Please be reminded that tomorrow is going to be the last day for nominating someone, and that if you nominate someone for an extra position, so a position in the executive committee, the nominator will have to give a brief speech about the person they have nominated. So, is there any nomination for a position in the executive committee 2025-2026? Yes. Here.
Erin Ko, IBSA China, bidding number 88. I'm here to nominate So Hyun Kim from IBSA ROK as the treasurer.
Thank you.
Sohyun Im, IBSA Republic of Korea, bidding number 39, I accept.
Is there any other nomination?
Second option.
Oh yeah. Okay. What is your second option? In case you don't get elected, you have secretary, trust, or regional representative.
My second option will be the secretary.
Thank you. Is there any other nomination? Seeing none, nominations are now closed and will reopen tomorrow for the last time. Next order of the day is nominations for chairs of standing and candidate committees and networks 2025-2026. Is there any nomination?
Chair Sum, IBSA China, bidding number 81. I'd like to nominate Arzu Naresh from IBSA India for the Standing Committee on Health.
Thank you. Is there anyone?
Ika Desai, IBSA India, bidding number 27, I accept on her behalf.
Is there any other nomination? Yes, please.
I'd love to nominate Mukula Danjuma for the chair of Pathology Network.
Can you state their member organization, please?
IBC Nigeria.
Thank you. Is there anyone to accept? Yes.
Kanduala Teva, IBSA Czech Republic, bidding number 70, I accept on their behalf.
Is there any other nomination? Yes, Anand.
Honorable I recently the I nominate Dr. Ahmed Hafiz for the position of Vice IBC Alumni. Thank you, Chair. IBC Alumni.
Thank you. Is there anyone to accept? Yes, we have.
Natija Hayos, IBSA 15, bidding number 84. I accept on his behalf.
Is there any other nomination for chairs of standing committee and candidate, chairs of standing committee and candidate committees and networks? Seeing none. Nominations are now closed and will reopen tomorrow for the last time. Next order of the day is nominations for regional representative 2025-2026. Is there any nomination? Yes, Violet?
Violeta Nidoberos, IBC Latvia, bidding number 83. I would like to nominate Mason Manzini from IBC Morocco for the MENA regional representative.
Thank you.
Miss Susan Ramsey, IBC Morocco, bidding number 49, I accept.
Is there any other nomination? Yes. Please.
Chris Stylitzis, from IBC Greece, bidding number 47. I would like to nominate Arya Naira from IBC India for the position of the Asian Pacific representative.
Yes.
Basti Ponce, IBC Peru, bidding number 67, I accept in her behalf.
Is there any other nomination? Yes.
Swimming IBSA Taiwan, bidding number 101. I would like to nominate Bettina Sam from IBSA China for the position of Regional Rep of Asia Pacific.
Thank you. Yes.
Tina Sum, IBSA China, bidding number 77, I accept.
Emma Caratelli, IFC Italy, voting number 5068. I nominate Michaela Da Costa of IUSA
ISA India for Asia Pacific Regional Representative.
Thank you. Is there anyone who's that?
Beata Betmakowska, IBSA Latvia, bidding number 56. I accept on their behalf.
Is there any other nomination? Seeing none, nominations for regional representative are now closed and will be open tomorrow for the last time. Next order of the day is nominations for the secretariat. Is there any nomination? Yes, Rebecca.
Rebecca Biskamp, IBSA Hungary, bidding number 12. I want to nominate Wilka Kayoko from IBSA Namibia for secretariat.
Daria Bacza, IBSA Poland, bidding number 8. I nominate Alesia Kanjai from IBSA Malaysia for secretary.
Thank you. Yes.
Alicia Kanjai, IBSA Malaysia, bidding number 42. I accept.
Is there any nomination? Yes, Basti.
Pasti Ponce, IBSA Peru, bidding number 67. I would like to nominate Daniela Alison Mariana Wapaya for the position of secretary from IBSA Peru.
Can you state their organization?
IBSA Peru.
Okay. Is there anyone? Yes, Emily.
Anita Rangami, IBSA Denmark, bidding number 7. I accept on her behalf.
Any other nomination?
Precious Choice to CR, IBSA Philippines, bidding number 30. I nominate Parth Gaikwad from IBSA India for secretariat.
Yes.
Isabel Marco Kielke, IBSA Denmark, I accept on their behalf.
Is there any other nomination? Seeing none, nominations for the secretariat are now closed and will be open for the last time tomorrow. Next order of the day is nominations for trusts. Is there any nomination for the trust? Okay.
Rebecca Biskamp, IBSA Hungary, bidding number 12. I want to nominate Upendra Chauhan for trust.
Is there anyone who accepts? Cyrus?
I will say Exco winning number 5. Please be held.
Is there any other nomination for the trust? Seeing none, nominations are now closed and will be open tomorrow for the last time. Next order of the day is nominations for the 75th IBSA Symposium 1.5 years from now. Is there any nomination? Yes, Avnish.
IBSA India, bidding number 36. Point of information, if there was no nomination, then this event, why is IBSA Rwanda's name up there?
Thank you.
Felix Metzger, IBSA Exco, bidding number 69. The reason why the name of IBSA Rwanda is there is that they always have like 2 events time to run for the next event. So the nominations for the 75th IBSA Symposium 1.5 years was already opened in Morocco, and so the last event, the last symposium, and at this event IBSA Rwanda got nominated, so that's why they're already up here, even though they got not nominated during this event.
Thank you for the explanation. The same goes for the Congress 2 years from now. We are opening nominations at this event and we will reopen them at the next symposium. So, is there any nominations for the 75th RSA Symposium 1.5 years from now? And the nominations for the 75th RSA Symposium will close at this event. So, seeing no nominations, they are now closed and will reopen tomorrow for the last time. Next order of the day is nominations for the 76th REC Congress 2 years from now. Is there any nomination? Seeing none, nominations are now closed and will be open tomorrow until the end of the G. Until the end of the G session. Next order of the day is nominations of the financial auditors. Is there any nomination for the financial auditors? Seeing none, nominations are now closed and will reopen tomorrow. Next order of the day is ISA Pathology Network Policy Paper. And now, yesterday we discussed this policy paper. Today yesterday we presented this policy paper. Today we're going to open discussion and vote on this policy paper. Violet.
Violet, IBC representing number 83, good morning, dear delegates. So just to very quickly remind you, yesterday we presented this policy paper to you. And right now I will recap. I move to approve the Pathology Network's policy paper proposal titled Companion Animals as Reservoirs for Antimicrobial Resistance Genes and Implications for Human Health.
Second. The motion on the floor is to approve the Pathology Network's policy paper proposal titled Companion Animals as Reservoir for Antimicrobial Resistant Genes Implications for Human Health. Is there any discussion? Felix?
Felix Metzger, ISA Exco, number 69. Given that we will vote on multiple policy papers, I move to go into a 5 minutes and at least, just so the bodies can explain one last time, like the consequence of like approving a policy paper for association, to make sure everyone knows what they're voting for.
Is there any second?
Second.
The motion on the floor is to stand at ease for 5 minutes. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Seeing none, we're standing at ease for 5 minutes. Please talk to your buddies.
Hi, Bunny.
Hello. What?
Mal Tag mal Glück, versuchen wir die Webseite zu öffnen.
Können wir, ja. Ich mache kurz hier Sponsoren an.
titled Companion Animals as Reservoir for Antimicrobial Resistant Genes, Implications for Human Health. Is there any discussion on the motion on the floor? Is there any objection on approving Pathology Network's policy paper? Seeing no objection, motion has passed. The next order of the day is IBC Pathology Network Call to Action Proposal. So just like the previous one, yesterday we presented it and today we're going to discuss it and vote on it. So, by the next
Everyone can remember what I said about building number 83. Good morning once again. So yes, this is the call to action, which is called Bridging Sectors with a One Health Approach, the role of veterinarians in disease prevention and control. We have discussed it yesterday, so I would like to move to the next slide. Here, I move to approve the Pathology Network's call to action.
The motion on the floor is to approve the Pathology Network's call to action. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection on approving the Pathology Network's call to action? Seeing no objections, motion passes. Thank you. This was fast. The next order of the day is the Events Inclusivity Task Force update, which will be presented by Apple.
Visual IBS India meeting number 36. Hello everyone. This is about to be a long presentation, so don't sleep off.
But an important one.
What an important one, very important one. So this is my team. Unfortunately, most of them weren't active during second half of the term or for most of the term. So I'd just like to give a shout out to Danji Shu from IVSA Malaysia, to Corina Weidner and VK Sanker from IVSA Germany, who did most of the work for the Events Inclusivity Task Force for most of the term. So thank you guys. Unfortunately, they're not here for the event. So to begin a progress recap again, from the beginning of when and how the EIT was established, since we have a lot of new members here that probably might not know what the Events Inclusivity Task Force is. So the Events Inclusivity Task Force was established at the 72nd Congress in Denmark to make IVSA events more inclusive and increase representation of regions and MOs at events. If this is your first time attending an event, you probably feel that we have a lot of MOs present with 26 MOs. However, IVSA has more than triple the amount of MOs there are present here. So the aim of the task force was to get more and more members to be able to attend this event. The EIT presented 3 proposals during the 72nd Symposium in Indonesia, namely the live, online and hybrid proposal. So between the 6 months from Denmark to Indonesia, the Events Inclusivity Task Force did work on 3 projects. The live proposal being how to improve our current live events. The online proposal being shifting one of our events, namely the symposium, to an online mode and keeping the Congress offline. And the hybrid proposal, which means that we have a hybrid online and offline events for both of our events. The GA voted during Indonesia with a majority vote of 63.4% to work more on the online proposal. So at that point, the work of the EIT was that they worked on 3 proposals, and then for the next 6 months, they had to pick one proposal to work on more detail in to present it during Peru. The EIT presented a detailed online proposal along with evaluation guidelines to the GA during the 73rd IBSA Congress in Peru. After several discussions and concerns raised regarding the presented proposal, the GA voted against the proposal presented. So now, since we are at a standstill with how to improve our events, the GA resolved that the GA created a new resolution and in that stated to contact MOs to determine if there's enough support, which is 2/3 of active MOs, to organize an extraordinary session of the General Assembly in order to discuss the events inclusivity task force proposals and vote on them again after improving them. What this meant is that because we weren't able to complete the discussion for the events inclusivity task force during Peru, and we also still had several MOs whose opinions were not voiced, we needed their opinions to be present during this discussion. The GA decided that we will see if MOs are willing to host an extraordinary session of the General Assembly, which is hosted aside from the two events of IBSA, where MOs need to request it to the IBSA Expo and tell Expo that we need another session of the General Assembly to discuss a specific topic, not how we're doing this like now, but just one specific topic. The format of the SGA 2026 will be decided on the outcome of the extraordinary session of the General Assembly. If there's no extraordinary session, the Expo of the next term will decide on the format of the event. Now, this was a resolution written during Peru. After the Peru Congress, me and Zuzana Chechkai from IBSA Trust at Poland were chosen as the co-chairs of the EIT. We met with the entire task force as well as individual teams to discuss further steps and plan the work of the task force with ideation, document creation, editing the existing proposals, figuring out if we need more information, etc. Susanna stepped down as co-chair due to personal reasons. Due to inactivity of the task force, works on the proposals were slowed down after the Morocco symposium in January, owing to several problems within the members. In the 10th IESX meeting on 6th of April, it was decided that the email vote to inquire about the support from MOs regarding the extraordinary GA will be sent while simultaneously the work of the EIT continues. So initially the plan of the task force was to create the new proposals, then send out the vote, but because of the pace of the work and how we still lagging behind on the proposal documentation, we decided we'd do it simultaneously. The voting was open from 24th of April to the 15th of May, during which only 9 MOs voted, which means we had received 18 votes. Out of the 18 votes, there were 14 votes in favor, 4 against. I know this looks like a simple majority received. However, required votes to organize the extraordinary General Assembly are 2/3 of all active IBSA MOs, which is close to 36 or 37 MOs voting in favor of this organization taking place. Since we did not reach that, the extraordinary session of the General Assembly did not happen. Now, steps forward. Since the discussion continues about how to improve our events, but we still don't have a concrete plan on what to do and how to do it, because the General Assembly hasn't adopted any of the proposals. What do we do to move forward with it? We continue working to find ways to improve IBSA events and give more delegates and countries a chance to represent themselves. So, this is the update of the EIT. There's another agenda point coming up where we explain more of this, but I will take questions now.
Thank you. Is there any question for Akhilesh? Or yes, there is a question.
Thank you to IBSA UK bid number 32. For those of us who were not present in the previous discussion, could we have a bit more detail on what you're proposing, like how an online event would work, for example, or just a bit more background to this?
Namaskar, IBSA India bidding number 36. So 2 things. If you would like more information about each of the proposals, they are available through your national MO email in the delegates drive of previous events. So you can read the minutes and see the presentations from previous events as well, explaining what the proposals were. One sec. So as you see, we have 3 ones: live, online, hybrid proposal. I will start with the live proposal. The live proposal aims to improve our current existing events as they are. So for example, we do both our symposium and congress offline, continue to do them offline, where we incorporate things like having more travel guides to travel to the event, having compulsory regional rotation, which entitles that every event has to be rotated across the regions so that each region has a chance to get to the event. Because the current problem right now is that For example, if the event is in Asia right now, MOs from the Americas or from MENA or SSA have trouble traveling here because flights are that expensive. Similarly, it works across all regions, and that was a problem at that time. That is why we recommended regional rotation. For the online proposal, the online proposal's aim was to shift one event out of the two events online, in which way we do the symposium online and we do the congress offline. So during the symposium, more and more MOs have a chance to join in online and be able to present their opinions during the General Assembly. And we do the congress offline because the reasoning behind that was majorly is that the election of the officials takes place during Congress, and we would prefer having, and it's a much bigger event than the symposium, so we would prefer keeping that one offline. The hybrid proposal aimed to keep both events offline while having an online presence from delegates who are unable to attend the event. So for example, if you saw the EAVEA presentation yesterday, where the speaker was on Microsoft Teams and we were sitting here and listening, that is how the hybrid proposal would work, where the delegates that cannot make it to the event are part of an online meeting. They can still put forth their opinions in GA, give their votes, and do everything we do here in the GA. Just miss out on certain activities, like social activities that can only be done offline. But then the plan was we do separate online social activities for them, including different workshops, break rooms, etc.
Yes.
Like this one, IBC Denmark, number 4. I'll just ask, like, now do you continue working like primarily on the online proposal, or is it now like common to proposals?
IBC number 36. So this term we worked on the online proposal and we worked on the hybrid proposal, since that is what the team deemed would be best for us to continue doing on. So after Peru, we continued working on the online proposal and the hybrid proposal. And so this will be presented forward, is that once the moving of the team continues, it is up to the next term's chair of the EIP to decide how they want to do it. And then their work will be presented at a later GA, and we continue to improve our events along the way.
Is there any other question? Yes, Anand.
I want to ask, like, is this the only way we can host extraordinary GA section, or this GA can service to do an extraordinary GA section?
IBC India, building number 36. The condition for the extraordinary session of the General Assembly to happen is that MOs need to submit a request to IDS Expo officially saying, okay, we would like to discuss this topic in a session of the General Assembly. Depending on what the topic is and how urgent the matter is, it is up to the Expo to decide, but the prerequisite to this is that you need 2/3 of all active MOs. So not even just MOs present here, but MOs across all of IBSA, which is why we did an email vote to decide whether or not there was enough support for the extraordinary session of the General Assembly. So for example, if next term onwards, like for example on the 1st of September, I as an individual member send an email to all MOs saying, okay, I would like to discuss so and so, then 2/3 of all active MOs need to say yes, sign the document, and be like, okay, we would like to discuss this topic. And then I submit that request to IDSA Expo saying, we have 66% of MOs requesting a General Assembly, the extraordinary session of the General Assembly to take place, and we discuss that topic. And that is how the extraordinary session works, which I don't think has ever happened. We've not needed to do an extraordinary session because most of the times we discuss all relevant topics during the 2 GAs that take place biannually in the summer and winter.
So to summarize, yes, that's the only way. Is there any other question? Erin.
Erin Ko, IBSA China, bidding number 88. For some MOs to become an active MO, they will need to attend a symposium or congress. And in this case, if we take on the online proposal, does that allow those MOs to become active if they just attend an online symposium?
Jala, I will send the bill number 36 to answer your question. Yes, so to answer the previous speaker's question, thank you, Matteo. By IVSA bylaws, MOs are required to attend a full session of General Assembly to be able to get voting rights. However, they are active MOs if they continue paying their fees. So candidate member organizations, if they continue paying their fees until they've attended a GA. In the online proposal, we would move one event to online and one event offline. So depending on what event that MO who's never attended a GA attends, they would receive voting rights accordingly. So for example, if IVSA India was established just before an online symposium, they would have a special status that they've just attended an online event and they're allowed to vote in online events only. However, if they subsequently attend an offline event, then they will become active candidate member organizations, where just active member organizations where they are voting rights in all GAs. This is a provision made in the online proposal for MOs that are just attending online. So they would still have voting rights. It's just that it would be a different category of voting rights compared to offline ones. However, the powers in the voting rights would still be the same.
Is there another question? Yes, there is.
Erico, IBSA China, bidding number 88. So for the hybrid proposal, do they need to be in person in order to get voting rights? For MOs to get voting rights?
IBSA bidding number 36. No, we did not have a separate provision for online and offline MOs in the hybrid proposal. We kept it at one same level for everyone.
Right.
Erico, IBSA China, bidding number 88. So does that mean MOs that attend online in these hybrid events will not have voting rights?
IBSA bidding number 36. To answer the previous speaker, no, the MOs would have voting rights if they've just attended online as well, because the concept was that everyone gets to attend the same GA and not different ones. So the voting rights remain the same. For example, if an MO is newly established and the first GA that they attend is a hybrid one, they will still get the voting rights at the end of the GA.
Is there any other question? No question? Seeing none. The next agenda point is the GA resolution for the EIT. Which is presented by Abnish. Nadia.
Daria Bacai, VSA Poland, meeting number 8, point of information. So I would like to say a few words about what is resolution. So a resolution is...
Point of information is a request for information, not for giving information.
Okay.
So it's fine, you can give information.
Sorry. A resolution in IBSA is a formal written statement adopted by the General Assembly that expresses an opinion, decision, or intention of the organization. And it may be about supporting a cause or policy, establishing or amending official position, approving a task force or initiative, and declaring solidarity or making recommendations.
Number 36. So the last slide I talked about steps forward and how we continue improving our events and getting a proposal that the General Assembly accepts. This is our plan right now. So we'll be going through it line by line because it's a new modality within the Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, and for inexperienced members, the GA resolution can be something that's difficult. So we go through it line by line. The resolution has 3 points at the beginning, where is realizing the importance of changing the IVSA structure of global events to increase diversity and accessibility for members from all regions. This means that IVSA, or like whoever was presenting the proposal, has noted that this is required. So then what we do is we take note. So taking note of what happened with the voting for the support of the extraordinary session of the General Assembly, during which only 7 out of 9 members voted in favor. However, organization of the EOGA requires 2/3 of all active MOs, which is close to 36 MOs, to vote in favor of organization of the extraordinary General Assembly. Since this did not work out, we recognize the need to improve how IVSA global events, congresses and symposiums are held to increase accessibility and representation of IVSA member organizations from all IVSA regions. Now, to clarify the statement here, IVSA requires a 40% quorum to be able to function, to be able to make decisions and to be able to vote on things. If we are below the amount of quorum, the problem is that we cannot decide anything. For example, if there was less than 40% of MOs present at this event, we would been able to discuss something, but we would not have been able to decide on something. Now, the problem here that the EIT recognizes that we did have 40% of quorum during our events, but we did not have 40% quorum from the region. So, for example, if it's, for example, Asia attending an event in South America, or for example, in the Americas, then we only had maybe 2 MOs from the Asia attending Americas, an event in the Americas. But we had a lot of MOs present from the Americas region or the Europe region attending that event. So there was an imbalance in the representation of regions during the event as well. So continuing on to the points within the resolution, this is what the GA will resolve, or this is the proposal that I am presenting, and the GA can eventually decide to adopt this resolution. The Events Inclusivity Task Force will be converted to the IVSA Event Strategy Task Force as detailed in the Strategic Action Plan. So what the Strategic Action Plan is that we presented a plan during Peru for IVSA for the next 5 years, in which an IVSA Event Strategy Task Force is detailed about its work, how it should function, what should be its timeline of working, when it should present things, and do a more detailed lookup of the ID's work and continue building on it. So we still have a stronger foundation of improving our events. For those of you who would like to read the Strategic Action Plan again, it's there on the IVSA website. You also have access to it on your National MO email drive and the MO's drive that you guys have access to. The IVSA Event Strategy Task Force Chair will be selected via an open call held during the month of September and voted in by the IVSA Executive Committee of 25-26. This is a self-explanatory point. We are trying to set a deadline on the selection of the task force chair because we would like to get its work started as soon as possible. Members of the task force will be selected via an open call and decided by the discussion of the chair of the task force and the IVSA Executive Committee 25-26. Also pretty simple. We do this so that all members of IVSA have a chance to attend, to be part of the task force and not keep it to a limited group of people. The IVSA Event Strategy Task Force shall complete its work within 1st of January 2026 to 31st of December 2026. Now, why we are choosing a period of time like this, if you notice, is between 2 terms. It's the second half of this term and the first half of the next term. We are doing this is that so the Strategy Task Force has enough input from all officials, from officials across 2 terms, as well as officials from this term who are still sticking around as trust, as well as who would like to be part of the Event Strategy Task Force. And we set a deadline is that so that we have fixed working timeline and we don't waste time with other things. The time between the chair selection, which is October, from the 1st of October to the 31st of December this year, should give enough time for the task force and the chair to decide on how they want to move forward and what they would like to do, what new surveys they would like to conduct, what new projects they would like to work on before actually starting the work from the 1st of January. A 6-month extension may be allowed by approval of the Executive Committee of IVSA Board until the 31st of June 2027. We allow an extension. we allow an extension. For those of you who did not see GA spray was used. We allow an extension because there might be problems that the task force faces, there might be data that might be needed, there might also be problems similar to what we had in this term or the previous term, with inactivity of the members not being able to give enough time to the task force. That is that. And the plan created by its work shall be presented at the immediate next session of the General Assembly when the work is completed. So if the event strategy task force completes its works at this deadline, the work is presented during the symposium in 2027. However, if the 6-month extension is taken, then their work is presented during the Congress of 2027. And that is the resolution. I move for the GA to approve this GA resolution as it stands.
The motion on the floor is to approve the resolution on resolution against the Events Inclusivity Task Force. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Felix Metzger, I was ex-committee number 69. And, in order for the bodies to get into a session and to make sure that our delegates can ask some questions before the discussion to make it easier, I move to go into a 7-minute standardies, 10-minute standardies. Yeah.
The motion on the floor is to stand at ease for 10 minutes. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Seeing none, we're standing at ease for 10 minutes.
Also for the bodies, please explain to your MOs that this can be amended. So the motion I presented was to be adopted as it is. However, the GA can choose to amend this if they feel, okay, this needs to be changed, and then that can be voted on. So please explain that as well.
IBC Event Inclusivity Task Force, which states what you can read here, these 5 points. Is there any other discussion? Yes.
I'm Susan Valentini, IBC Morocco, visa number 49. I just want to know, just the previous speaker just restate a bit what he said, when he talked about more inclusivity, like having like more people reading because visual development workers, I didn't really get it, though it's possible to the previous.
Sorry.
The previous speaker to restate what he said.
Yes. Felix?
Felix Metzger, IBC Exco, page number 69. Yes, of course. So what I mentioned is that in order to support the inclusivity based on that the task force will remain the same in order to keep the workflow ongoing, based on also what we experienced with past task forces, that a change of leadership or a change of team members is always slowing down the process multiple times in the past. I want to point out that based on that the task force will approximately have, let's say, 10 to 20 people, to stay realistic. It's like those 10 to 20 people working on in the task force. However, the results, before they will be presented to the General Assembly, will also be presented to the officials of the term 25-26. So all those 40 people around the world will review the document, give their input, and be part of this progress. Plus, once the term changes in the second half of this time frame, so at September, the new officials, so another 40 people will review the document. So that makes it like 40 officials from the next term, 40 officials from the term after, plus the 20 task force members, so 100 people overall around the world of IBSA that will review the document. What I additionally mentioned is that compared to other associations, this is already really a lot, given that we also want to make sure that it goes smoothly and that we can present it. And I also mentioned that if the GA or any members feel that the inclusivity or like the inclusivity within the work was not given when it is presented at the General Assembly will always have the power to say, no, there needs to be put more work into this with a new team, so we have more inclusivity, so this can still be made at a later point.
Is there any further discussion? Yes, Anandu.
So we started this. I want to point something to GA. Like we started a discussion about this events, including task force from I guess the conference we were having in Denmark. We did this because we needed the inclusive to a lot of events, and considering the discussion happened in Denmark, we were concerned that there was voting rights to only one MO in the SSAG region. So that's why we started to discuss it, and from the point of other delegates that were in Denmark and in Bali, we had concerns that there need to be voting rights for other MOs from other regions because they don't get the voting rights if they don't attend the events. So that was a really concern point. So it is sad to see that the MO voting was not really great to make a EO extraordinary General Assembly, but still I really appreciate the work that EJ has put in.
Thank you, Anandu. By the way, please be reminded that we are discussing the motion on the floor, which is to accept this resolution. So to convert the Event Inclusivity Task Force to the IBC Event Strategy. So the discussion has to be relevant to the motion on the floor. Yes, Peter. Peter Nicholas, Isaac Democrat number 16. Building upon what the previous speakers say, also tying into the fact that we should keep focus on the motion on the floor. I would like to state my support for the motion, based on the fact that this has been a 2-year period at the point. We've had many discussions, as in both Peru and Morocco, sadly not Mali. And it's been up, it's been discussed, it's been turned every single way you can imagine. Also important, like the damages we didn't know existed, we found for this discussion, and nothing has come of it. While I do agree with the previous speaker that it's sad to see so little representation for the SSA region specifically, I do think that this will allow us to still keep working towards our inclusive events while also broadening the perspective of or the scope of the task force. Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Is there any objection to approve this resolution? Seeing no objection, motion passes, the resolution is approved, and the IBSA Events Inclusivity Task Force will be converted to the IBSA Events Strategy Task Force. The next order of the day is bylaw amendment 6.4, majority during exco meetings. So the next order of the day is bylaw amendment 6.4, majority during exco meeting. However, the proposer of this amendment withdrew it, so we're no longer considering it. Is there any question? Peter?
Peter Nicholas, Democrat number 16. Just for clarification's sake, what does it mean that it's been withdrawn? And why do BSTA not get to have a proposal decide on it? Thank you.
I guess this is a parliamentary inquiry. Does the parliamentarian want to answer the question? Can the previous speaker repeat the question?
Peter Nicholas, as Democrat number 16. Just for clarification's sake, what does it mean that it's been withdrawn? Seeing as we have accepted the what's it called? Agenda, yes, thank you. And why do BSGA not get to decide on it anyway? Thank you.
Dariabata, I will say Taiwan, bidding number 8. I think that it should not be the parliamentarian inquiry. The parliamentarian should answer this because of your decision.
Okay, the chair will now answer the question. So according to the Robert's Rules of Order, a motion only belongs to the mover until it's stated by the chair and it's placed before the assembly. So the General Assembly can decide and discuss and vote on a motion only after it has been entertained, which means that the motion that the chair accepts the motion is valid, repeats it to the GA, and then the motion belongs to the GA. Before that, every motion only belongs to the mover. So this also applies to proposed bylaw amendments, which can be proposed, but until the chair places them before the assembly, they can be withdrawn without the GA voting on it. So in case the motion, so the bylaw amendment was placed in front of the assembly and the discussion was opened, then to withdraw the motion, the GA would have to give consent. differently. In this case, it was never placed before the assembly, so the bylaw can be withdrawn like that. Is there any other question? Seeing none, next order today is called Standing Committee on Annual Wellness Policy Paper on Shelter Medicine. The discussion. Yes, please.
Felix Metzger, IBS Ex Committee number 69. I move to go into a 15-minute recess.
The motion on the floor is to go into a 15 minutes recess. Is there any discussion? Is there any option? Is there any objection? Seeing none, we are at recess for 15 minutes. Please come back after.
Great that you brought this up because it's a really big importance. Like, I love to see it because like this was amazing. Just not for the ending point, he's great job. I just want to also like let you know in the past with task forces, like for example, I was part of the strategic planning task force, so it's a 5-year plan when and I was co-chair. We were some of the team members. We had members.
There's some complimentary bags where you can guide either individual notes or the information.
Mayo, 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 Mayo.
Oh, it's working? No.
I want to do this free photo. Pick my mic. No, so I can.
You have comments? Oh.
Genau eine Persona.
Die hast du wahrscheinlich.
Ja, Rico war auch dabei. Also, hör mal.
Aha.
Mach mich mal nicht so fertig.
Echt? Das ist das Letzte, was ich machen muss.
Für meinen wunderbaren Livestream.
Nein.
Jetzt sind sie 0.
Ich hab schon geliked. Das nicht?
Sieht man ja.
Ja,
Ich muss auch liken. Naja.
Market memes. Crazy.
Also, a small reminder, if anyone still wants to exchange cash money for new Taiwanese dollars, you can still give them money.
No one molesta perché
The chair is calling the J back to order at 9:55 a.m. GMT plus 8. Next order of the day is Standing Committee on Animal Wellness Policy Paper on Shelter Medicine discussion. So just like for the other policy papers, we will present them today and the vote will happen at the next meeting of the J. So, I
This is why IBS Nigeria being number one. Presenting the policy paper on shelter medicine for the Standing Committee on Animal Welfare. So just a brief introduction on this policy paper. It was written from review of previous publications on shelter medicine. And the aim of this policy paper is to enhance the well-being and health of animals housed in shelters. The overview of this paper, we have a very brief history of the paper. You can go through the paper at the drive. It's a very interesting one, trust me. And involvement of shelter medicine,
common challenges faced by animals in different shelters. We have counter arguments and rebuttals about shelter medicine and recommendations for various stakeholders. The key points in the paper, we have the introduction, the background, methodology, objectives, recommendations, and conclusion. The background has the definition and history of shelter medicine as back to the 19th century, the schools that first started shelter medicine as a course, that's University of Cornell, and the University of California that started shelter medicine first as internship in veterinary medicine, and the evolution of shelter medicine to the no-kill policy that we have recently, and common challenges faced by animals in shelter, different behavioral challenges included, and importance of population health approach in shelter medicine. The methodology to write these policy papers, we had to review different literature on shelter medicine, on academic research and reports from different veterinary associations like the American Veterinary Medical Association. And the objective of this paper is to advocate for the inclusion of shelter medicine as an elective course in veterinary curricula. Like shelter medicine is kind of vague to most veterinary schools from what we observe, and then it's very important to also be included. And we want to raise awareness in shelter medicine to secure resources and partnerships. From the research we did, notice that most shelters face issues with resources, and so most of the time they just have to put the dogs and the animals back to the streets. And encourage veterinary schools to incorporate shelter medicine training in the curriculum. Recommendation, we recommend veterinary schools to integrate shelter medicine into the curriculum. We encourage veterinary students to advocate for shelter medicine education in vet schools, participate in spay, neuter, and vaccination programs to reduce for population control, and conduct research for disease prevention and animal welfare. We encourage veterinary associations to promote continuing education, especially related to shelter medicine, to fund research related to shelter medicine, and advocate for policy improvements. We encourage government health agencies to strengthen regulations and enforce shelter medicine policies, to increase funding and research and low-cost vet care, and improve global shelter medicine strategy. We also encourage animal welfare organizations to ensure quality veterinary care, to support spay and neuter and adoption programs, to educate the public on responsible pet ownership and vaccination, and strengthen collaborations with veterinarians and policymakers. We also encourage health tech companies because it's very important to develop diagnostic and monitoring tools for shelters and enhance telemedicine and digital health records. And here, this is a very brief conclusion on the policy paper on shelter medicine, and it enhances animal welfare by addressing overcrowding, disease control, behavioral rehabilitation, while also benefiting public health. And IVSA Standing Committee on Animal Welfare emphasizes that shelter medicine is a crucial component of global welfare efforts, calling for a collaborative approach within all stakeholders, including veterinary students, to ensure lasting benefits for animals and communities. Thank you.
Thank you. So, is there any question? Yes, Satish.
I will say number 36. So I think, so considering how long I've been in IBSA, I feel like this paper was already there on our website. Why are we discussing it at the end?
Titilayo Ayodele IDC Nigeria, beginning number 1. This paper has been published before, but this is a review of an already published paper, and it's giving a more extensive report and emphasizing on the evolution of shelter medicine.
To also answer this question, according to our bylaws, policy papers have to be reviewed after 5 years. So all ISA policy papers after being accepted by the GA, 5 years later, they will have to be reviewed and accepted again by the GA. So in 5 years, we will have to basically review this policy paper again and vote on it again. And the GA can decide again if they want to approve it or not. Is there any other question? Seeing none. Thank you, Titinari. The next order of the day is called Standing Committee on a Wellness Policy Paper on From 5 Freedoms to 5 Domains, which will be presented by Titinari.
Thank you. Titilayo, I will gain from IBS Nigeria, even number 1. I will be presenting this policy paper from 5 freedoms to 5 domains. And these policy papers was written in contribution with IBSA Pathology Network. Thank you. And it's emphasizing promoting 5 freedoms and integrating 5 domains. So as we know, we're all used to the 5 freedoms. And now there is a 5 domains that is more comprehensive and all-encompassing. The key points of this policy paper, we are overviewing the context of animal welfare frameworks, legislative and practical implications, the position of IVSA on current animal welfare models, objective of the paper, and call to action. Recommendations, we also have counter-arguments and rebuttals, discussion, conclusion. The objective of this paper is to continue to promote 5 freedoms to all our IVSA member organizations related to the Standing Committee on Animal Welfare website. You can find this on our SCORE website. To collaborate with animal welfare organizations and other stakeholders on international level to ensure that 5 freedoms are maintained globally for animals. Advocate for governments to have sufficient animal welfare and legislation in place that within the 5 freedoms are addressed. To hold public awareness campaigns to bring attention to relevant current animal welfare issues compromising the 5 freedoms, and draw up specific guidelines for different species on the 5 freedoms to be disseminated throughout the network. Call for action, we call all IBSA member organizations to nominate a SCAL ambassador who would liaise with the Standing Committee on Animal Welfare to implement the actions. If you go through the policy paper, you see all the actions. So implement the actions on IBSA that IBSA has put in place to hold animal welfare events. We encourage all member organizations to hold animal welfare events that promote responsible pet care, promote 5 freedoms, and especially the 5 domains. And advocate for animal welfare in your university. The people who do not know about animal welfare, they just have pets. Just advocate, please take care of your pets responsibly. We also call for the government to integrate 5 domains in the legal frameworks, not just the 5 freedoms. The 5 domains, especially the part that includes the mental and behavioral well-being of the animals, and ensure the enforcement of existing animal welfare laws, because some government, we have the animal welfare laws, but they are not being enforced. So we call on the government to please enforce these laws. We also call on educational institutions to update the veterinary curricula and include the 5 domains to promote research on species-specific welfare needs. We call on veterinary students to advocate for the 5 domains, the 5 freedoms, advocate for welfare improvements, to participate in campaigns regarding animal welfare. And we call on animal welfare organizations to collaborate and support welfare initiatives. We also recommend that there should be development of training programs for IBSA member organizations to implement the 5 domains. And we also recommend establishment of international guidelines for species-specific welfare practices, because we have a lot of species and they have different welfare needs. We also recommend to conduct global awareness campaigns on animal welfare and encourage the use of welfare monitoring technologies in both urban and rural settings. And IBSA advocates for the establishment of consistent evidence-based guidelines that reflect the involvement of animal welfare from 5 freedoms to 5 domains. And this transition is critical to meet the contemporary challenges that animals face. So we need to have a more comprehensive approach rather than just freedom from pain, hunger, stress. We need to have a more comprehensive approach. So we are advocating for the inclusion of the 5 domains. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any question? Seeing no question. Thank you, Titilayo. So, there are no more orders of the day for today, so we will continue with J1, GA1 onwards. Felix?
Let's go. This is Exco number 69. I move to untable agenda point 90.4.1.4 Middle East and North Africa update.
The motion on the floor is to untable the Middle East and North Africa region update. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion passes and the agenda point is untabled. So we have an appeal.
Hello guys, Anabila Khalid Medis in Morocco, bidding number 87, aka your favorite spring. So, as you may know, I became the interim regional representative really late this term, around June and July. So, I didn't open the application for all the positions for this term since I didn't see the necessity of some of the positions. So here's my team. We have Marina, which is the external relations manager, and she's working. She was also one of the previous members of my previous term. We have Sanma, who's serving as general secretary as well as social media manager, and we have 2 project managers, Zinat and Maysoon, who's here with us. So regarding the MENA project, we have the great collaboration with SCO, which is Take a Breather. So basically, we know that this period is, we have a lot of stress regarding exams or pre-exams. So we propose some techniques to handle anxiety and stress management. Then we have it's not with the collaboration of SCO, but I needed to. We have the MENA animals. So if you follow us on Instagram, we present animals that are lives in the MENA region. We started with the fennec fox, the camels, and now we're continuing with the oryx, and some spoilers that you can already see, but we'll post them soon this month. Our initiative is mainly contacting with the MILAC, which stands for the Middle East Africa Veterinary Congress. Spoiler alert, it's going well.
maybe we'll have some IDSA representatives at the Dubai meetup, which will happen on October 17 to 19. So here is our platforms. We have the Facebook, Instagram. Please follow us on Instagram. We have interesting stuff. So this is our team. And I would like to thank my special team because even though they joined very late, they are doing amazing. So round of applause to them.
Thank you. Is there any question? Yes, Peter.
Benjamin Business Democratic number 16, just with regards to the composition of your team. They seem very Moroccan, and of course we are Moroccans, but just for transparency's sake, how many applications did you have, and were they sort of spread throughout the MENA region, or was it just a lot of Moroccans?
Nabil Habib is in Morocco with the number 87. So these are the only people that applied. And I kind of discuss with them and see what they want as position that I proposed. Originally there were 7 positions, but I only opened 4. 4, sorry. So yeah, these were the only ones. Yeah, inactivity is still here, and I'm still suffering from it, like 2 years later, for my turn, but I cannot do better than that.
Thank you. Is there any other question? Felix.
Felix Metzger, I'm secretary number 69. We always ask related questions, but I have an animal-related question. You were saying there's a post coming up for the Atlas slide, and I thought they were extinct. I'm just curious.
Nabil El Habib, I say Morocco within number 87. Indeed, Atlas lions are extinct from the wild. They are still alive, but only in sanctuaries and or zoos. That's it's the case in Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Basically, the Atlas mountain chain.
Is there any other question? Seeing none, continue. The next agenda point is date on attended events, specifically our constitution. It will be presented by Thomas.
Meeting number 5. So normally the presentation is given by our president, but due to other events, he wasn't able to attend. So in order for us not to actually leave the opportunity to speak with these partners, they asked me if I could join, and I said gladly because it was, of course, in Billund. Yeah. Legoland, actually. So a background, the CAPA is Europe's community of companion animal veterinarians. They advance and they try their best through advocacy to do what's best for the companion animals. But they also have a soft spot for students, like they like to see students engage, hear their opinions, and try their best to include us in whatever nice things are doing. The discussion points in the 3 days that were there were multiple policy papers, as we discussed here, and it was nice to see that the aspects they focus as veterinarians are the same points that we also as students focus, as verification that we're actually doing a decent work. They plan to start a new European specialty program just to give more variety on how someone can expand their knowledge. And they invited us also to take part in all working groups as observers, as Felix said. We just sat there. They asked actively about opinions of students, and it was nice to see that they want to continue their cooperation. A point that I brought up, it was if we can increase the amount of prizes that they give us out as students. They were in favor, but it remains to be decided. There were a few miscommunications at some point with the Europe team, and it was nice to have someone there to run point and give them also the opportunity to through communication improve on those matters. And they had an interesting take on their association finances, giving me a lot of nice ideas. So now, how does FECAVA help students and help especially IBC students? Is they give up the opportunity for us to attend their council meeting and Euro Congress. This time is going to be in September. They already published the winners. It's some financial helps for the travel and accommodation expenses, and there's the possibility of having great networking because most of the FECAVA members were at some point IBSA members, and they try to engage their IBSA MOs also. And now what they offer now, and it's still applicable, so if anyone likes to do research, if anyone likes diversity, equity, and inclusiveness in the veterinary profession, can submit a research application for a total payment of 500 euros for 3 winners. That would be done in 2 payments, before and after the research. And the deadline for applications, it's the 30th of September, so get your phones out because I have a QR code. You can scan and get your deadline. And show FECAVA, we have a little brainiacs among IBSA, and we actually want to take part of the opportunities that they offer us.
Thank you. Is there any question? Nabil first.
Nabil El Habibi, IBSA Morocco, bid number 87. Is the Belgian Joy Student Research Grant open only for Europeans?
Starting over the expert number 5. At the best of my knowledge, I do believe there is, it might be for Europeans, but given that the vector is also with LPE, we'll have to check it in and get back to you after that.
Is there any other question? Yes.
Hi, Bensley from IBSA China, bidding number 50. I've just had a quick check of the website. It states that the students can be of any nationality enrolled in European veterinary teaching institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other question? Agnish?
Ms. Gala, IBSA bidding number 36. Considering it was the FECAVA event, traditionally the president and the Europe region representative go to this event. Why? What was the situation with it, or what?
General.
All right. Felix Metzger, IBSA, bidding number 69. Hi. It's another update about an event we attended. Again, to highlight why attending these events is to put us in the spotlight, to make IBSA seen, and to also interact with people, which is like going to these events, of course, requires costs, and like also the war event is an event where IBSA paid for the attendance. For me attending as president, but also for the attendance of Nadia, our One Health chair. So, what's WOR? WOR is the World Organization for Animal Health, former OIE, part of the current part-time together with FAO, WHO, and UNEP. and we were attending the General Summit, so the GA, and was in Paris, in France, from the 25th to the 29th of May, and it's every year in Paris. So what does WOA do? It's a global authority of animal health, founded in 1924. So also quite old already. It's an intergovernmental organization, and they focus on disseminating information on animal diseases. And if you don't follow them on Instagram, I highly recommend it because they're doing amazing updates about current outbreaks of animal diseases. It's really fascinating how they do it. Also on their website, they provide a lot of information, guidelines. So also when you're like studying for your virology exam, a great source. How are we working together? So at the moment, we are invited to each other's GA. You will also see a partner presentation by WOA during the event. We did some One Health webinars and also asking for policy paper endorsements. But besides that, not much happened. One reason is that our contact person from the past term, with whom we had a meeting, left the association when I started the term, but I was still like emailing to the person and I never got a reply, but I also didn't have like on this general contact form who responded. At some point, we got a new contact person, but unfortunately, after 3 months, this person also left the association. So yeah, finally in Paris, we were able to get a new contact person that is for now staying in the association, so we can actually keep talking with them. But yeah, that's the reason why this term, like nothing new, was established. So why do we attend the event? We are meeting with one person to discuss the partnership. As mentioned, like this was super important. Like in advance, we text them and we are getting an appointment because they are super busy. I mean, as you can imagine, like an association is collaborating with WHO and so on. On this level, I have a lot of people request meetings with them. So it's really exciting to be there as an IBSAA, to interact with them and to be included in those discussions. Also, the WOA event is an event where all of our partners attending, like literally all of them, which is great because then we can also schedule checkup meetings with all the other partners, again, to make sure that everything is going well. We are also participating in panel discussions to represent the student perspective. So in Paris, I attended a panel discussion about vaccinations and also bringing up like what the student perspective is on vaccinations, if you think it's important, on social media, like regarding social media in terms of like highlighting the perspective of the students. And given that the audience was quite old, it was really good to have students there because yeah, like we were really the unicorns at this event, like Nadia and I, because yeah, like as mentioned, not so many young people, so it's good to be there to talk with them. And I also appreciate that. Like a lot of people approach us, were asking for our opinion, which is amazing. Which is why we also like in advance of this panel discussion within the officials team, because of time, this more certainly again we also include like not just my opinion, like as a European, and also Nadia's from Indonesia, but also opinions from other regions, like within the officials team. Which was really good. Like thanks to the officials for replying to the survey very quickly. It helped a lot for the discussion. At the event, we're also engaging other associations from the partnerships, getting some contacts that then will be follow up on. We were joining the General Summit session, so sitting in their GA and listening, which was also very interesting, but also very much confusing because those terrestrial aquatic animal health guidelines they're talking about are so detailed, and not gonna lie, I was sometimes sitting there and thinking, okay, I don't know what's going on, but it sounds good. So yeah, and one moment I kind of loved is that at some point the chair of the WOA General Assembly was saying that no one is allowed to leave the room anymore because they were about to lose quorum. So it's not just us, even WOA is struggling. Yeah, and as mentioned, like collecting a lot of contact persons. Here's some pictures. Please ignore my very confused face in the picture up left. I really, like there were several pictures of me and everyone, I look confused, but I really wasn't, please believe me. Then in the middle, you can see a picture like of me, and in the middle we have Nadia, and the other people are the Saba, so we're meeting with the Saba, which was really great. And this is a picture I really, a picture I really love because this guy here is an honorable life member of IBSA, and he was the past president of 2014-2015. And this guy is an IBSA alumni from Portugal, who's actually at the moment is working in a website company, and he's currently the guy helping us with updating our website, making some changes. So that was really a wonderful connection. It was also really interesting to interact with past IBSA members and ask them, hey, so we're currently having these discussions, what do you think? Oh yeah, we had that back then as well, so 10 years ago. Yeah, and like for someone was like, oh really? And they were like, yeah, but different. So we're still progressing, and they were quite happy to see which direction IBSA is developing. Also was showing in like him being in a company now, him being one of the head leaders of Mission Rabies, so also a good contact, has again shown it, and they really mentioned being part of IBSA changed their lives just because of the skills they learned in the association. As it was mentioned in the panel discussion, the things you do in IBSA, when you interact with it, work in a team, and with different nationalities, really helps. Some more pictures. Actually, up here, if I'm not mistaken, one of the founding members of IBSA group. So really exciting. And this guy is also working for WAR, and we're currently talking with him because he might be able to help us with travel grants for an upcoming WAR event in the next term. But yeah, this still needs to be clarified. Then, of course, Eiffel Tower. Nadia may be really skeptical about it because it's not that big. And on the right side, and a picture again with alumni from Portugal, and also another alumni from Portugal, and they were the other two young people there. So it was great to not be alone, and so we were interacting a lot at Böhringer Ingelheim was sponsoring one of the party events, which was another opportunity to go to Böhringer Ingelheim and say, hey, we would like to have a pharmaceutical sponsor. Are you interested? That was it. So in the end, we still started to like the Eiffel Tower once it started to glow in the dark. So yeah, thank you very much.
Is there any question? Yes, Peter.
Personalizing Denmark, meeting number 16. So you mentioned that it was a great opportunity to talk to Böhringer Ingelheim. Those who don't know, it's a German missionary organization. What was their response to your
Alles im Kopf. Nur was.
I was the Exco bidding number 69. As always, the first response was like, oh yeah, it sounds great, yeah, let's do something. And we got a contact person, and based on the experience I gained now, I was not happy with just one contact person. I organized myself a second one, the social media manager of Böhringer, just to have someone CC. And we sent an email, and we got a reply that they will get back to us, which was 3 weeks ago, which is normal for such big companies. But given that we also try to reach out to Böhringer Ingelheim via the normal contact formula, where we got no response at all, it's a success. So now we have an email chain, now we have contact persons, we can follow up on the next term, which is a small step.
Is there any other question? Seeing none, thank you, Felix. Next agenda point is EGA update, which will be presented by Felix.
Felix Metzger, bidding number 69. Felix was Exco bidding number 69. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Welcome to the next round of presentation. This time, the European Association of Establishments for Veterinary Education. I was attending their EVE General Assembly plus their Educational Day. It's important about that one. In Dublin, Ireland, from the 11th to the 14th of June. And that was really interesting, not just because of the Guinness. All right, so what does EVE do? I was hoping that more people would know about the joke. What does EVE do? To support the member establishments for better veterinary education. And they're using an evaluation system to maintain high standards. So their members are actually paying money for them to review the universities, to make sure they maintain the science standard, to also be approved by EVE, which is a very important thing for, at the moment, mainly European universities, but EVE also is starting to evaluate more and more international universities. Like, for example, also, I think in 2026 they will have an evaluation in Japan, for example, and also they also work in Morocco, Rabat. So they're really expanding their scope. How are we working together? Again, invited to each other's GA. You saw the presentation by Pierre yesterday. Having student representatives in the visitations and promoting educational surveys. So sometimes when we send out like surveys by partners, like EVE is one of them, and those student representatives are, like to mention again, a really important thing, because we can send only IVSA students can apply for that. No other students, only IVSA students. They can join a visitation. So when they are evaluating the university, an IVSA student can go to them and check on things. And as mentioned, at the moment we are working on the fact that with these checkups, it will also be asked, hey, how is the university supporting student associations, especially with the ongoing discussion that soft skills are no longer hard skills, but actually something way more important. So why do we attend the event? Join the GA to give a quick update about IVSA. Actually, my update was 3 minutes long. Like I had 3 minutes, and then we were late, so I had 2 minutes 30 seconds. That was interesting, I can tell you, but I still managed. We interact with EVE to discuss the partnership, and as you've seen, we signed the MOU, which is great, so another 2 years of partnership. Also, other partners are there again, also a lot of international partners, which is good, because even though it's a European association, it's not just the European partners, but also other associations from around the world, which is really important. And we are also joining the educational day to represent the student perspective. And that was really, on the one side, really satisfying to see how they talk about changing the education, but there was one part that I would like to highlight, just again describe why it's important that we go there, because at the educational day, they were talking about the self-confidence of students, and there were four university deans put on front. And then they were talking about self-confidence. When I was asking the question, because no one was asking questions, so for every round of presentation, I was asking a question of the student perspective, and that one stuck to my mind, because I was asking, okay, how, we talked a lot about that today, but how, what is the quick breakthrough? What can every person here in this room do to support the self-confidence of students? How can we increase it? And not a single person had an answer. And that was really sad. And I had a lot of talks with people after that, because I was really unhappy. And a lot of people really appreciated that I was asking the question, because without that, no one would have asked one. So again, I'm just mentioning all of this because at a later point of this GA, you will have to approve the next budget for the next term, and those president travels can be look really frightening in terms of sometimes the amount of money we invest in that, but it's really worth it. So here's a picture of me with the president of EVE, Petra Winter. She's from Vienna, with the signed MOU, because we're really signing it in person, not just digital, but also kind of cool. Here a picture of me giving my presentation with a capybara on the slides, because I wanted to do something nice. In the middle, I really love that. This is me with my very excited face, explaining Irish students that are not part of IVSA, why IVSA is the best thing in the world. I think it was like a 20-minute pitch. I had a lot of fun. And this is me with the WBA president, who will also join us during this event. You will meet him, John Leon, just in front of the GA hall. That's it. Thank you very much.
Is there any question? Seeing no question, thank you for this. Next agenda point is FVGA update.
Felix Metzger, IVSA Expo bidding number 69. Yes, we are back. So, next event, Federation of Veterinarians of Europe. We were attending the General Assembly of FEE, plus their subgroups, in Leuven, Belgium from the 26th to the 28th of June. And afterwards, we were also visiting one person that is here, Violet. We had a lot of fun in Violet's garden, which is huge. Like, sorry, I had to mention it. So that was really cool. Thank you for accommodating us on behalf of the people attending in Leuven, which were Florian Schilling, the Eurovision rep, and Malaika Zürl. And who's Malaika Zürl? It's another person from Munich. And I swear, this was not planned. Like, the 3 people from Munich are going there. It just turned out like that. So, let me tell you a bit about the event. So, what does FVE do? FVE is representing the veterinarians all across Europe. They are advocating for veterinary medicine within the EU and abroad. They're promoting the veterinary profession, and they have their subgroups working on specific topics. They have EMERY for veterinary education, research, and industry, UVP for the veterinary practitioners, VH for veterinary health, so public health, and ESO, like working for veterinarians that work in like state offices. So how are we working together with FE? So again, invited to each other's events, and we'll also see an FE presentation today. Then we also have the MSD FE scholarships, which are scholarships that will be like together with MSD FE is giving out scholarships for students. And as ISA, we're promoting that. So as many ISA students can apply as possible, and also like in the application process, being an ISA member is an advantage. We have the working groups. So there are 4 FE working groups in which we have members. And also we have some joint initiatives like the Joint program that I highlighted. We do like some surveys together. And also you can do an internship at FVE as an ISA student. So again, like mainly for the Europeans, unfortunately. But if you're interested, please come to me. Yeah. So regarding subgroups, usually IBSA is joining the EMERY subgroup. Why is that? Because IBSA is a member within EMERY with voting rights. So not just an ad hoc member, with actual voting rights, which is amazing. And like given that we were 3 people, Florian was joining the Europe session to organize some webinars with Europe because there were some talks before. Because Florian also joined me for the FE event last winter, and we wanted to make sure that those talks continue. So, yeah, why do we attend the event? Give updates about IBSA, to talk about our collaboration. So again, apply for the mentoring T program if you haven't. Join the subgroup sessions. We have voting rights, and this is amazing now. So I was mentioning Malaika Zürl. She was with us because she applied to become the board member for EMERY on behalf of IBSA. We did an open call, and she got elected. And so we were taking her with her to the EMERY GA. In the GA of EMERY, they approved her as a board member. So now we have an IBSA person in the board of this association, which is great given that they focus about education and research and industry. And especially with the education research part, we're really trying to enforce that information about research opportunities that sometimes can feel like very exclusive is spread more to allow more students to like get engaged in research. Then we are attending the General Assembly of FE to bring in the student perspective. Again, especially Malaika and I have been like really active in raising our hands a lot to ask questions, which sometimes can like seems to be really surprising for them. But yeah, we're super interested in a lot of things because it's about our future, right? And also again connecting with other partners. Also for FVE, there's a lot of international partners there. Also, for example, AVMA, that's where we had a first talk to talk about the situation ongoing, but I will talk more about this in the WVA update. Here's a picture on the left side, like all the people attending the FE event, and on the right side, the people that attended the EMERY event. And this here, person in the right, is Malaika Zürl. I was EMERY from Munich, and now our EMERY representative. So that's it. At that point, I just wanna like to ask you for a big round of applause for Malaika for now being our representative. And yeah.
Thank you. Is there any question? Seeing none, Next agenda point is WBA update.
Felix Metzger, IS Expo bidding number 69. So yeah, let's talk about the WBA event. And on this note, I wanted to mention something that I just forgot for FVE first. FVE is a European association, and I'm very well aware that there's a high Europe focus. And believe me, we're really working to change that. But FVE is also sharing the office in Brussels with us. So they are like collecting our letters, informing us, and helping us with the taxes and everything. They are massive support, and they're also financially supporting us attending this event. So FVE is not just a European association, they are really sometimes kind of our parents when we don't know what to do. Hey, can you help us fix this? So I can really appreciate them a lot, like you all do, just to mention that. And the slides are not loading. So, going from a European event to an international event, which is the WBA Congress, so the Congress of the World Veterinary Association. And this time, the General Assembly and everything happens in the US, in Washington, D.C. from the 18th to the 22nd of July. So, what does WBA do? They unite and represent the global veterinary profession, and they defend the interests of the health and welfare of animals, plus the member interests. So they again also like very involved in policy and advocacy. And how are you doing that? Policy and position papers, projects and lists. For example, the essential veterinary medicine list. During one of the GAs, thank you. I'm disappointed. You also like I was spread some QR codes where you can scan this list. It's really amazing because it's analyzing the problems of the essential medicines that we have in the world and where like they are next. And also working groups. And this is really amazing because in those working groups like veterinary education, animal welfare, and One Health, our chairs are joining this working group. So for example, Tilayo here has been joining the WBA working group and doing an amazing job. Thank you very much, Tilayo. Which is super nice. And also again, interaction and connection. So how are we working together? We're invited to each other's events. Well, I think you have heard it quite a few times today. Then, the same thing we have for Europe with FEE, we have with WBA for the whole world. So with WBA, each year they have the MSD WBA scholarships for every region besides Europe. So FEE is taking care of Europe, WBA the rest of the world. And again, we are promoting that, we are highlighting that, so as many IBSA students as possible apply for that. Then we have the WBA Student of the Year Award, which is really cool to promote and showcase that they're not just outstanding veterinarians, but also outstanding students. And as mentioned in the ERO update, SIVA was the sponsor of that, but they will no longer sponsor this. However, we talked with WBA, and they of course want to keep the Student of the Year award. So right now the plan is that they search for a new sponsor, and they are at the moment quite confident that they will get one, to sponsor this so we can keep continuing with the Student of the Year award for next year. So far, we cannot guarantee it, but it's likely. I mentioned the working groups where our chairs are attending, and again, joint initiatives like surveys and endorsements. And WBA is basically, the SAVA is already IBSA for graduates, but like focus on small companion animal, and WBA is like for kind of everything. So WBA representing all the nations around the world and the veterinarians there. It's basically, yeah, the POM just a bit later, which is why this year we had a lot of talks about how we can use that. Because we really think that we are interacting not enough based on really the fact that we absolutely share the same interests. So there were especially talks about engaging with the alumni network to make sure that young graduates who are kind of out of IBSA and like no longer applying for those positions, but do not feel comfortable in the national associations where there's like a lot of sometimes bureaucracy and hierarchy, let's say it like that, like you need to be involved like a lot before you can actually engage to make a change.
like experienced this myself with my local veterinary shepherd that I already reached out to. And we are really trying to establish a safe spot for all of you that were really active in IVSA and they can't get enough of interacting with each other. So this is something we're really working on, and we're gonna have a meeting with WBA at the start of next term. So Tammy will take care of that, that we can establish that. So, why do we attend the event? We give updates about IVSA during the General Assembly. We talk about our collaboration that I just mentioned. We are meeting international partners, WVA being a big event, like massive, especially given that they always have the event in collaboration with another national veterinary association. So this year it was the US, next year it's going to be Japan, the year afterwards it's going to be India. So, no wait, that was Basava, right? Yeah, sorry, that was Basava. It's in Mexico. Thank you, Tommy. They're always collaborating, which increases the amount of people at the event, the amount of opportunities, and also, given that they were partnering with ABMA, there was a lot of money involved at this event. So ABMA is having a big congress with a big exhibit hall, a lot of sponsors. So we're using this opportunity to talk to a lot of people. For example, one of our partners, FAVA, the Federation of Asian Veterinary Associations. I've been trying, based on what I said, that like it's very Europe focused. I invited them for a symposium, I invited them for this congress, but I never got a response because I tried multiple contacts, it didn't work out. But in Washington, we met 2 people that I told about our collaboration. They never heard about it, which, okay, we take that. And then they were asking, hey, like, where is IVSA in Asia? I was like, like giving to this, like you remember Aaron's presentation, how many Asian and Asia? And they were like, really? It's amazing. So we hope that with those contacts, we can also bring the Asian scope a bit back. We're also having talks with other associations. For example, it was not in WA, it was actually more, I forgot to mention that, with a Caribbean association to also go to the other end of the world and engage with people there. This is just an example how these exhibit halls can help us engage with people. Also, we had a talk with Suedes about a potential sponsorship and how, given that Suedes is really massive, and when we engage with sponsors about the outreach, Suedes is not really interested in the outreach we can provide to students because they're already so big that they don't care, probably. But they were really interested in supporting veterinary education, and when I brought up the development fund, they were really interested. So that's also something we hope that we can work on. Then you've seen in the SIVA video, in the opening ceremony, we had this Student of the Year award ceremony where I got the award on behalf of Ahmed Sahib because his visa did not get accepted to the US, which was very unfortunate. And I really loved that, even though it was like a US event, when this was mentioned by the moderator, the whole room was like, you can't be serious. And it was amazing. I really loved the support for Ahmed at that point. And also mentioned it, Tammy and I attended a Megan Trainor concert because ABMA is so big, they have a Megan Trainor concert during the event for $10. So yeah, it was cool. Some pictures. On the left here, this is Deborah. She is working with One Health Lessons, and we had to talk about our collaboration also for the One Health Committee. In the middle, those are representatives from Mexico. Given my time talked about them because her Spanish is much better than mine. And here on the right side, those are the farmer people that we talked with. More pictures. This is WVA and this is near the zoo. Like he is engaged with the veterinary establishment inventory list, so the list of all veterinary universities in the world that I was mentioning. Really nice people. Also, given that the US was very expensive, Tommy and I had a big struggle in terms of food, because normally IVSA is not paying for people's food. And so far for me, this term, like when I was going to the event, this was not a problem. But given that in the middle of July, I was very broke, and US is so expensive, WVA was our lifesaver, because whenever we looked hungry, they came to us and were like, hey, you want to get dinner together? And we were like, yes. And they were like, okay. So like, yeah, I'm gonna pay. And they were like, no, Felix, we know you're not gonna pay. So I really love that they like this, especially one here has been one of our main contacts. And she's also vegetarian, so we have been like allies in the US where we were only finding vegetarian burgers and nothing else. So that was wonderful. Here in the middle, you can see the External Relations Officer of IBSA from 2018 from the US. I have to admit, I forgot the name. But yeah. And here, this is Nancy from FVE. So FVE was also that event. In the back, you can see the firework, because of course they also have a firework at the end with her like live show, and it was so much fun. And yeah, this is a picture of the Lincoln Memorial, because I have to admit, like Washington was as a city really impressive, and it was really a great thing for me to be there. Like it was really impressive. So at that point, I also want to like thank you all again for the trust back in the supposing body for making president, because also like for myself, I was taking a lot out of those events, and yeah, I highly appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Das geht, ich weiß nicht. Ja, das macht Sinn. Passt schon. Weiß schon. Ich habe auch keine Lust, alle zu nerven, aber
Thank you.
ich finde es schon nicht gut.
Is there any question? Yes, there is a question.
Amelie Peters, IBSA Germany, bidding number 34. You said something about like a QR code for a list, but that like flew over my head. Like, what was that about?
Felix Metzger, IBSA could be number 69. Yes, I will. I have like those QR codes like on paper, and I will share them with you when the WBA president is here in the GA, like a small piece of paper to show them, hey, we're sharing WBA material and so on, just to make it look nicer. So we will see it.
Thank you. Is there any other question? No. Thank you, Felix. The chair will now entertain a motion to go into a 10 minutes recess.
Second.
This is how it works. Here.
On the move for IBSA Serbia bidding number 86, I so moved.
The motion on the floor is to go into a 10 minutes recess. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Seeing none, we are at recess. Be back in 10 minutes. So, before we resume the GA, we will first watch a video from the FE. And I don't know if you want to tell us something more about this video?
Hi everyone. As mentioned, like we are inviting, of course, all our partners to give a presentation at our event, just like we get invited. And when partners are asking, like, okay, what should we present about? We tell them the theme of the event. So it's the theme set up by IBC Taiwan, and also, of course, always the interest in the point of view of the association itself, so the partner, on certain perspectives. So quite fitting to our panel discussion, and he's giving a presentation looking at the future, diversity, and the changing veterinary profession, to inform you about the FE point of view on this topic.
Good day to all of you in Taiwan. I'm really sad not to be able to be with you, but I wish you an excellent conference. I'm Nancy Viviana. I'm the Executive Director of Federation Veterinarians Europe, and I had the pleasure of working a lot together with IVSA, especially a shout out to the lovely work together with Felix, Florian, and Malaika, and Tammy. So today I will present a little bit the activities of the Federation and some also the changes we see in our profession. But first, let me tell a little bit about FE, the Federation of Veterinarians of Europe, for those that are not familiar with us. So in Europe, we have about 330,000 veterinarians, and FE represents these through our 46 national associations. In total, we represent 39 European countries, and we also have specific sections. So we have a section of veterinarians working in veterinary practice, one of veterinarians working as hygienists or in public health, one of state veterinary officers, and one of veterinarians in education, research, and industry. What do we do as FE? Well, we try to enhance animal health, animal welfare, public health, and protect the environment through promoting our fantastic profession. Almost all veterinary legislation in Europe is European legislation. So by the time it comes to the member states, they can only change a word here and there. So it's very important that we get it right on a European level, and that's where FE is. So if we look a little bit of our structure, the highest level in FE is our General Assembly. We have 2 General Assemblies a year, and we're always grateful that IVSA members are joining our General Assembly. Our General Assembly appoints our Board of Directors to set out the strategic actions and topics of interest. And we in the office in Brussels, my team supports them, supports the board by preparing everything, developing the policies, doing all the activities. So the bulk of the work is done by the colleagues that you can see here on the bottom in Brussels, of which I think many of you already know. So what are we focusing on? Well, all topics relevant for the veterinary profession. This means animal health and welfare, public health, one welfare, everything around professional responsibilities, veterinary medicine is very important one, veterinary education. So many topics, because our profession is a very wide profession and we touch on very many areas of work. Now, looking at our profession in comparison to some other professions, and then we take, for example, the farmers or the doctors, we are a very small profession. And this means that it's really important to work in collaboration with other professions and with other organizations. So FE works closely together with, of course, all the other veterinary association, which is European Board of Veterinary Specialization, the European Association of Veterinary Teaching Establishments, the American Veterinary Association, the Canadian Veterinary Association, FEGAVA, which are the companion animals, and many, many, many more. We also work together, of course, very closely to the European institutions. And this, in our case, is the European Commission, the European Parliament, and the Council, because they decide the legislation. So we have to be really close with them. We also work together with international associations, the same as IVSA, so with WOA, with WHO, and so on, with FAO. And then also with other professional associations, European farmers, European dentists, European doctors, and so on, animal welfare organizations, and many more. And together we can be stronger if we have positions that we share. That's much stronger than being alone. So with IVSA, we're really grateful to have a strong collaboration which we built up over many, many years. We started also by making sure that we have student members in all our FE working groups. So we have a working group on animal welfare, on medicines, on statutory body who regulate profession, on food safety and sustainability, and so on. And all of them have a student representative. So we are really grateful for working together with IVSA to making this possible. We also, like I said before, we try to participate in our general assemblies, mutual general assemblies, and we also in our office actually host IVSA headquarters, of which we're really proud and happy to do so. Another thing where we collaborate very closely with students is we host interns. So we now, over the years, have had more than 20 interns from all parts of the world, most in Europe, but some also further, and who join our office for 4 to 6 months and join all our activities. So most of them are now graduated in the meantime and work often in fields and in organizations with which we still closely collaborate. So that's really fantastic to have this veterinary network. We also do some joint position papers or other papers with IVSA and organize webinars and workshops together. And then one last one is we do already for the 7th year this year, we give away scholarships for veterinary students thanks to the support of MSD Animal Health. One of the other activities where we, since the last 1.5 years, very closely work together with IPSA is Vet Joy. Vet Joy is a specific initiative which we can do thanks to the support of the charities, foundations, and also the corporation. And IBSA is one of the founding members of Vet Joy. And this initiative, this web tool, but it's much more than that, offers several programs, and the aim is to give holistic support all along the veterinary career path. So this is for students and early career veterinarians, but also later into work life. And specifically for students, we have the Vet for a Day activity, the research grants on DIY, and more information on how to become a veterinarian. And with early career, we have mentoring programs, mentoring programs, and that's another really important one to look in what we're really trying to boost at this moment. So like I said, the Vet for a Day is an outreach program for schools, and it targets specifically underserved communities because we have to make sure that our veterinarians, our veterinary students, and later, of course, our veterinarians are representative for the community they work in. And we have on the VetJoy website, vetjoy.org, we have specific web pages on that, but also important, we are doing an info session for DIY ambassadors on 2 October at 5 p.m. CST. So please, if you're interested, join this webinar. Now I go a little bit more about the demography of our changing veterinary profession. And this, of course, focuses on Europe because we don't have numbers as FE for the rest of the world. But we have very good numbers for Europe because every couple of years we do a very big survey of the European veterinary profession. And all these reports are available on our FE website, fe.org. So anybody interested, really go and have a look. So what are we seeing? We started with our surveys in 2018, and the last one was in 2024. So we're now preparing for the next one. And what we see is that our profession is growing. We have more veterinarians, but we also become a younger profession. We now have about, like I said in the start, about 330,000 veterinarians in Europe, and of these, 42% are under the age of 40. 65% is female. So this is something we have seen that there's a 7% increase of feminization since 2018. And 49% has been working as more than 15 years as a veterinarian. And around 66% work full-time, so more and more veterinarians also work part-time or in more flexible jobs. The most common field of practice, of working as a veterinarian, is still clinical practice. Veterinary private clinical practice or corporate veterinary practices, because we see big rise of corporatization, especially in some European countries. And 63% work predominantly with companion animals. This is something we've seen moving over the years. So more and more veterinarians work with companion animals, and less veterinarians work with livestock and food-producing animals. And this is something we have to watch closely because especially livestock plays a really important field for food security, food safety, and One Health field. So we must ensure that we keep enough veterinarians working on these areas. Now looking a little bit very briefly at the future, we see that our profession has really a lot of strengths. We're a strong profession, we're a resilient profession. We have a very strong professional network. All our organizations work closely together. We have very high standards of education in most of the world. And we have an increasing number of advanced technologies. But there are also weaknesses. As I said, we are facing now problems of finding enough veterinarians in certain areas. It's not a complete workforce shortage, it's more the shortage in specific areas. This is something we have to keep a very close eye on. And we also, especially in our parts of the world, we see that the regulatory, the legislative burden, bureaucracy, administrative burdens increase and increase, which sometimes scares veterinarians away. Now we have a lot of opportunities. Technology is not standing still. The quality of treatment we can give goes up and up. We just have to make sure that the owners can continue to pay for it. We also have enormous advances in animal health research, and so on. So we really have a lot of opportunities in our profession, but we must make sure that we grab them. So we asked the General Assembly a couple of months ago, what are the greatest challenges? And this is what they say. So the workforce shortages in certain areas, antimicrobial resistance, sustainability, climate change, admin burden, digitalization. Now I think all of them, you can look at them as challenges, but you can just as well look at them as opportunities. Just if looking at IMR, antimicrobial resistance, as a profession, we really are leading the way in the fight against antimicrobial resistance. In Europe, we reduced our antimicrobial use for animals with more than 50%. So we are leading and we can go further there. On workforce shortages, as I said before, this is not an absolute shortage. It's a shortage in certain areas. We must make sure that it becomes more attractive to work in these areas. Sustainability, there also I see a lot of veterinary initiatives, and we can do a lot more there. And veterinarians often are taking leadership roles on promoting and raising awareness on sustainability and also climate change. So all these things, maybe they're challenges, but they're definitely also opportunities. As a profession, and these are one of my last lines, you have enormous possibility. Many people, if they start to think, I'm going to become a practitioner, but veterinarians work in all fields. A lot of veterinarians work as researchers, in government, in industry, in public health, in laboratories, and all these places need veterinarians. So don't look too narrow, look out abroad. You can do so many things when you're graduated. And you are our future. As FE, we invest in our students because you are the future. You are the ones that will care for the animals and the people and the planet tomorrow. You can bring fresh perspectives. Think about outside the box. Take away the blinders that some of us have and go to tackle these challenges with new energy and new motivation. You can drive innovation and sustainability and make sure that we have an inclusive profession. As I said, we have a lot of interns in our office, and over the years, I've always been amazed of how resourceful, how motivated, how knowledgeable, how skilled they are in comparison to me when I was this age. So I believe really the future of our profession is safe. If I look at you, all of you, and our new generation of veterinarians, we will start working on that you can enter a profession that is resilient, valued and future ready. So once again, I'm sorry for not being able to be with you in Taiwan. I'm sure you're having a great time. I want to have a toast on all of you, on all the future profession, future veterinarians that will care for all our people tomorrow. Thank you for organizing the conference. Thank you for inviting me, and I hope to meet all of you one day in one place or one time. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Have a good conference.
All right. Thank you all for listening to the presentation. I just want to highlight again that those surveys FV does, those data collection, it's actually very impressive and quite acknowledged in the international context, while also other international associations are quite curious about how FV does that to also make it in other regions, which is why their work is super important. And I also just want to highlight that Nancy, who gave the presentation, this year just celebrated her anniversary of like 25 years in FVE. So she has done a lot for the veterinary profession, and I really think that deserves some applause.
The chair is calling the J back to order at 11:35 GMT plus 8. Yes. So, is it everything clear regarding the presentations that Felix has done so far? Are there any questions? Yes.
Isaac, Democratic number 16. Just to be sure, what is the point of these presentations? I have complete trust in our wonderful president being able to handle these situations, so why am I hearing so much about them?
So the question is, what is the point on presenting the attended events, basically, right? Felix?
Felix Metzger, ISX Group number 69. Thank you very much for having so much trust in me. Yeah, the reason for these presentations is that besides me being the president, the GA, so you are the supreme body of IVSA for the decision making, and it's also your job to check if we as officials are doing our job correctly. So that's why we're basically reporting all our event attendances, everything we do, to make sure that you know what we are doing, like just give you an update about it, so you can check in and ask questions in case there are any doubts about what we do. That's why we also, in terms of transparency, present like all the events where we are attending to let you know IVSA was there, IVSA was interacting with external people, so you have the chance to ask, hey, was everything okay there, or like did anything negative come out of that?
Thank you. Is there any other question? Seeing no questions. Next agenda point is bylaw amendments 14 exchanges. So, this amendment would be proposed by Shio.
Yamin, I was in Taiwan, being number 4. So this is an amendment when the bylaws 14 regarding the IVSF exchange. This is the original sentence in the bylaws that like exchange have consistently been one of the most valuable of some of the activities among IVSF members. to protect the rights and interests of our members, to recognize the significant efforts invested by member organization of you and exchange officer, and to ensure that all participants are covered under IBSF exchange code and adhere to the IBSF code of conduct, which help maintain safety, accountability, and a positive experience. It is essential to emphasize that participation in IBSF exchange is strictly limited to registered IBSF members. So this is current virus that it didn't state that exchange need to only the active members can join. Like we found that some of the members, there's non-members join that group exchange. So that's why we have this amendment to add that restriction to the process. Should I? And move to add group exchange under the name of IBSA may only be organized between IBSA members organizations and are exclusively open to IBSA members.
Second. The motion on the floor is to amend the bylaw to add the sentence and are exclusively open to IBSA members to the bylaw 14. So that the bylaw will state group exchanges under the name of ISA may only be organized between ISA member organization and are exclusively open to ISA members. Is there any discussion? Yes, Peter.
Peter, Nicholas Nancy Democrat number 16. How would this affect the eligibility of candidate member nations and also and a second part of my question. How would this, but that's one. So how would this affect the eligibility of candidate member organization to be part of these changes?
Felix?
Felix Metzger, excluding number 69. Given that according to our bylaws, candidate member organizations or active candidate member organizations can participate in all ISA opportunities. The only difference is that they do not have voting rights. So that means that this bylaw amendment would not change the ability of active candidate MOs to do ISA exchanges.
Is there any other discussion? Avnish?
Considering group exchanges have both the actually going to the country part and the hosting part, where MOs or local chapters, when they are hosting members from outside the country, they try to bring in students that are still not part of IBSA or still just joining IBSA to be a part of those exchanges so that they have more exposure to how things happen and kind of motivate them to join IBSA. So if we change this bylaw, don't you think it would affect the ability of newer members wanting to join or volunteer during group exchanges? Have a problem then?
Cheers.
Jamin, I visit Taiwan being number 4. So just share my MO experience. In I visit Taiwan, we only open our exchange to our members, and for those non-members, if they want to join our exchange, they need to join our membership. So here is our main income and main attractive to attract the non-members to join us. And I think most of the MO here, like I would say Malaysia, they have like all the students need to join IPSA in order to attend all the events. So this is the main things that we can have more members and able to afford the membership fee to pay for IPSA Taiwan.
When did it expire?
Is there any other discussion? Louder, please.
Sorry. I'm so sorry you didn't listen to me properly. Regardless of how each will work, because some MMOs we learned in the past calendar, some MMOs just as members who are doing this, and some don't have to that. accept both IBSA and non-IBSA members. From my point of view as MOD Pastor and representative, this bylaw amendment is also giving IBSA members the safety to, in case of any situation that can happen in IBSA exchanges, especially in code of conduct situations to be specific. We can apply our code of conduct just to IBSA members. And so if something happens with a person that is not an IBSA member, we cannot do nothing about it, because our code of conduct just applies to IBSA members. And so this is also putting in a safe place our IBSA members attend because therefore we can, as IBSA global, ECHO, or code of conduct for bank, whatever, we can do something in regards to this situation. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Yes. Just a reminder that during discussion, people who have already talked, they have to wait until everybody else who hasn't talked yet has had the chance to do so before I can give them the floor again. So if you have already shared your perspective and someone else who hasn't spoken yet wants to take the floor, they will have the priority. So, Matthias.
Matthias Jakob, IBSA Germany, meeting numbers 40. So regarding our situation in IBSA Germany, we do have people who take part of exchanges who are not actual members of IBSA. And this by law amendment wouldn't help IBSA Germany regarding this way.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? John?
John, IBSA Scooby Doo number 6. So, just to give my 2 pence, the selling point of IBSA is that it's providing opportunities to its members. And one of those opportunities are the exchanges. So technically, this is why people pay to join IBSA. So you can't just let it be open. So it's more or less that this bylaw amendment is going to solidify the fact that people are offering IBSA money technically, to participate in these exchanges. So we need to protect their rights and their opinions and not put it down.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Yes.
Nikitas, IBSA Germany, bidding number 34. Is there a way we could specify this? So, like, for example, in Germany, we might do, I don't know, like a city tour. So it's like there's no limited space, and IBSA members who want to join can join. But like if we like post in a group and we like non-members, like you can join us if you want to, and if they like they might be inclined to want to join IBSA. So I think that's what the previous speaker, thank you, was like alluding to, that it might actually like help gain new members. But like for if we go to another country, that is like exclusive for actual members. So that is like, there's a way to specify like which part might be exclusive and others that might not be exclusive to members.
To answer this question, since this is a bylaw amendment and requires to be, all bylaw amendments require to be sent to all IBSA MOs 1 month in advance before being considered by the GA. Any further modification of this amendment that changes the meaning of this amendment, so adding new things that are not included in the original amendment, cannot be done unless the GA resolves unanimously to consider a new amendment that hasn't been sent in advance to the GA, so that wasn't sent 1 month prior to the GA. So in case the GA resolves unanimously, so 100% of the people here present agree with the consideration of these bylaw amendments, then we can consider it place it before the GA, discuss it, and then vote on it. But otherwise, we cannot amend this bylaws in a way that would change the original meaning of the proposed amendment. I hope it's clear. Is there any further discussion?
Catalina, please. I will say Chile, bidding number 64. I think that I can address the question of the previous speaker because the bylaw amendment, it also says group exchanges under the name of the IBSA may only be organized between IBSA member organizations. So this bylaw amendment would only be between the MOs. It wouldn't affect the activities inside their own MO.
Can you repeat the last part, please?
Please, IBSA Chile, bidding number 64. Because the bylaws state that it's between member organizations, and the question is if it would affect the activities inside their own MO. So I don't think that it would affect them.
Is there any further discussion, or does anyone want to address this part?
Personalizing demonstrating number 16. I believe I have a parliamentary trick, not ties because I wish to make an amendment to the amendment. However, louder please. Yes, personalizing demonstrating number 16. I think I have a parliamentary trick. But I'm not entirely sure because I wish to amend the amendment. However, I am unsure if it's borderline changing the original meaning of the amendment and as such would be illegal under the rules of order.
So you can make the motion, and then either the chair will decide if the motion, so the amendment is in order, and if the chair is not sure whether it's in order or not, we will let the GA decide. Is there any further discussion? Stavros.
Stavros Papakiadis, IBSA number 5. I would like to point also out the existence of the MO contracts that are done for the exchanges, and that under like the categorization of what legislation has to say overrules what, is bylaw overrules the contract that is signed during the exchanges. So if an MO wishes to do it, there can be the possibility to put it in the contract, and it would minimize the effectiveness to all MOs, because bylaws, all MOs. Contracts are only the MOs that wish that to be under.
Is there any further discussion? Peter?
Create and personalizing democratic number 16. I motion to amend the amendment to the following. Group exchanges under the name of the IBSA may only be organized between IBSA and member organizations and are exclusively to IBSA members. This is the fun part. However, non-members may attend in their home country under the IBSA Code of Conduct and the responsibility of the hosting country with the purpose of advertising IBSA to the hosting country's members. Students, not members.
Is there any second?
Second.
Can you please come here? Right now.
Ich fand dich jetzt ein bisschen relaxter. Der Linkstick, du. So.
It does apply for it does apply for
So you're having some technical difficulties because the keyboard doesn't work. So the chair will entertain a motion to stand at ease for 5 minutes.
Peter. Peter Nicholas, I was a Democrat number 16, I so move.
So the is to amend the amendment to add, however, non-members may attend in their home country under the RSA Code of Conduct and the responsibility of the hosting country with the purpose of advertising the RSA to the students of the hosting country. Is there any discussion? Don't show. Peter?
Peter Nicholas, I was a Democrat number 16. So the idea of this amendment to the amendment is to take into the account what the previous delegates have mentioned in terms of advertising IBSA to non-members and still allowing for IBSA to have some sort of restrictions to the non-members attending, so that would be code of conduct, that would be, as previous exco member mentioned, with the contracts between member-nations, while still allowing for some sort of advocacy for IBSA, some sort of marketability, to speak, so to speak, so that we can get even more members, and they can see how cool it is, how attending the like super fun part of traveling to another country. So I hope that makes sense.
Is there any other discussion? Yes.
Ika Desai, ISA India, building number 27. So if non-members in their own country are able to meet foreign nationals or people, members from another LC, they will feel if we are getting all these opportunities to interact with others, what is the point of paying the membership fees? Or why should we even join IBSA if we are getting all these things and experiences for free?
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Felix?
Felix Meister, IBSA Exco building number 69. Because of the sake of our GA time, I move to postpone the agenda point.
When do you want to postpone this agenda point?
Felix Meister, IBSA Exco building number 69. Sorry for that. Until the next GA. So GA 5.
Is there a second? Second. So the motion on the floor is to postpone this agenda point, so the amendments with all the secondary amendments. So to postpone the bylaw amendment and the amendment to tomorrow's GA, so that tomorrow, when the GA will reconvene, we will first address all the orders of the day. And then when all the orders of the day, we will resume from exactly where we left today. So from here. So we will keep discussing this amendment to the amendment. Then we will decide what to do basically with this amendment. And then we will go back to the original amendment. This will happen tomorrow after all the orders of the day will be addressed. So, is there any discussion for postponing this agenda point to tomorrow? Is there any objection? Seeing none, this agenda point is postponed to tomorrow. The chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting of the GA. Yes, here.
Madam Mahadeva, IBSA Czech Republic, bidding number 57, so moved.
Second. The motion on the floor is to adjourn the meeting of the GA. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Seeing none, the meeting of the GA is adjourned and the GA will reconvene tomorrow. Now we will have announcements from the OC.
I'll be making that